This piece of furniture was 30,000, not rupees. It came in the back of a bullock cart. I was like, how did HBA venture into different countries with time?
We will dedicate that, or we will credit that to our beloved clients, where they created or they developed new projects. They wanted us to be part of that process.
What would be the typical activity brief you would take from a client for preparing their luxury house?
How much time do you have to listen to these questions? It could go on for hours.
Moving on to Mark, I want to know your definition of luxury.
A lot of people might think that luxury is about money. It is not about money.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Right? However, money does afford you opportunities and the freedom to live your life on your terms.
How has your experience been working in India?
The level of design that we can have in India is high. The only challenging thing about India is, from a construction standpoint, the skill levels vary a great deal.
Is there any particular city, place in India that usually has this problem, or it's
No, it's everywhere.
everywhere?
I would say it is education problem, right? They are not trained to do that.
How would you define or try to find a definition of luxury in a city like Mumbai?
Maybe I would use Singapore as an example.
So what I can summarize through all of this is that, hello everyone. So welcome back to Speaking Real Estate Podcast, and today with us we have Mark, Design Director from HBA Residential, and Binu from HBA as a Regional Director for Business Development Growth across Southeast Asia. And today's conversation is going to be around the learnings and discussions. What is luxury when you are designing a house, a bungalow, or any full tower that belongs to a single individual, along with how HBA as an organization is catering to huge number of clients across different kind of projects, and also adding value across different services also that they provide in a particular single project. And they are one of the distinguished firms in the whole world where they have outstanded and performed a kind of quality work which is very hard to beat or compete with. So welcome Mark and Binu, and very grateful for the opportunity that I'm having to host you guys, and looking forward to today's discussion. So if we can start, firstly, thank you for coming and giving this opportunity to me as well, and looking forward to our conversation, and really grateful.
Really. Thank you, Krish. I think I'll start. I'll give you a brief description about what HBA is. HBA stands for Hirsch Bedner Associates. We are world's leading interior design consultancy when it comes to hospitality projects. We specialize in hospitality, but over the years we have expanded our services not only in terms of the types of projects we do, it's also in the types of services we provide. So right now we undertake anything from architecture, master planning, landscape design, signage and wayfinding, branding, artwork consultancy, procurement consultancy, and we have a specialized team called HBA Residential that you hear a lot from Mark. And it's also going beyond just the realm of hospitality. It's going into residential predominantly. That's what we are seeing, and going into commercial properties, where based on the request of our clients, we have extended our services to their properties that is not purely hospitality driven.
I think so. Something very different and unique about HBA that I would say is that there are definitely thousands of firms in the architectural or interiors or lighting or many other verticals, and each particular firm is focused in one particular vertical majority of the times. And many firms have been successful in expanding into a different kind of projects vertical, or maybe like doing a hospitality, residential, commercial layouts and everything. But the beautiful part about HBA is that they were even able to venture into different services along with the different kinds of projects. So that is really something to look at from an inspiration perspective from various firms all over the world. So if you can little bit elaborate on how are you able to keep your uh, efficiency, delivery, the work up to date or up to the mark in every vertical.
I think, first of all, I would say, the whole thing about more services is driven from the fact that, we want to provide holistic and integrated design services to our clients, because there is seamless efficiency in providing that services that is of great value to our clients. And in providing, or in your question about how do we deliver for each services, is the fact that each of them are specialist studios in their own right. And quite a few of them, I would say, are established in their own verticals for numerous number of years. For example, for landscape design and for lighting design, we have studios that have a legacy of past 28, 30 years doing multiple award-winning projects from their own side, right? And we take pride in what we do. Each services take pride in what we do, and we always say that we are a global company. We have 25 offices worldwide, and we have probably around 2,000 people under us working with us. So we always say, we are a big company. We are large enough to deliver any type of project, any scale of project, but at the same time we are small enough that we care about each project and make sure that each project is given equal importance, be it a small scale or a large scale. So to us, the size of the project doesn't matter. We give equal importance to each project and we deliver what we promise. I think that's another competency we have, is that we promise based on our experience, and we are very pragmatic people. We give realistic timelines. We work with the clients, we work with other consultants in establishing a very realistic timelines, and we have the capability and resources to provide our services within the committed timelines.
So you spoke about like you are partnered with like studios 25, 28, 30 years old with who have specialized work experience in a particular vertical. So like were these studios started by themselves and partnered with HBA after certain years, or these studios were originated and formed through HBA itself?
So most of our studios that we talked about are developed by HBA from scratch, but I would say predominantly two or three studios that we have, they were established studios. They were started by their own, but they were acquired by HBA and rebranded under HBA umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are both the models out
Yeah.
there, like,
Yeah.
and the focus is on to partner or support the talent within the organization to make that vertical even more stronger, I would believe. Definitely. So talking about like you're having 25 global offices across the world, right? How did HBA venture into different countries with time?
I think it is, we will dedicate that, or we will credit that to our beloved clients. They have brought us to geographies and typologies and countries and regions where they created or they developed new projects. They wanted us to be part of that process, and we followed them. And having done that, now we have offices in 25 different countries. It's predominantly based on the fact that we want to provide a customer service or a client services closer to the location of the project, and that is the main reason for expansion, and most importantly is the growth of the company. We wanted to grow, and these were the venues to grow, transcending geographies and boundaries, right?
Is it like any particular studio in a country is focused on particularly one vertical or few verticals, or like all studios are focused on all verticals or something like that?
That's a very good question. So Singapore is a global headquarter for HBA, and that is where you have brand partners or creative principles for pretty much all the services that we
Yeah.
have. But as you said, for example, HBA Residential, their studio is only in Singapore, London, and Hong Kong, right? For lighting, it would be Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai, and London. So we develop each of the studios depending on the need in the particular market, depending on the need of the customer, depending on the need of the project. And that's where and how we expand these services and our studios.
So, Binu, you have been working with across multiple clients across Southeast Asia, across different verticals in HBA, right?
Yeah.
If you can define certain differences between the multiple countries in Southeast Asia in terms of working with Indian clients or outside India clients, what is the major difference that you observe?
Major difference. Wow. It's very hard to point out, but I think the similarity point probably I would be able to figure out. I think what I like about the clients whom I meet with is that they want to deliver a project that makes their customers happy. I think that is a very important perspective that I get from our clients, and that is a reflection of who they are, what they want to do, what they want to create. One example would be a residential developer in Chandigarh told me that, I want this residential development to be designed to a level whereby I want to stay in that development. So I think he is showing that commitment to the design in when he states that he wants to stay in that uh, group housing project, right? And that's what I get from a lot of clients is that they want a stunning project, an award-winning project that makes their customers happy and gives values to their customers. At the end of the day, it's a business for them. They want to be profitable. They want to be successful. We want to be part of it as well. Any differences? I think differences will be basically their requirements might be different because of their target audience, of their markets, of their conditions, right? It's purely more from a product requirement, not client expectations. Yes, there are differences in client expectations, right? The expectation of the word luxury itself is very subjective. So that itself can revolve to many conversations about what the project should be. Yes, there might be quite a few differences, but it's all revolving around a project. If you talk about a hospitality project, even if it is a luxury brand, but if it could be on a tier 2 city, on a tier 3 city, the expectations will be very different from a project of 4-star in a tier 1 city, right? The amount of budget that they have allocated for a luxury project in tier 2 city may be lesser than what a developer will assign for a 4-star hotel in a tier 1 city, right? So the budget constraints are a bit different. And again, it ties back to the project requirements, right? What are we trying to achieve might be different.
I believe that you not being able to identify the differences is a good point on your end, that you are able to adapt to each and every client in a different geography.
Yeah, I think I mean, that's basically our job, right? I think we are there for our clients. We will make most of their wishes come true, right? I think, and yeah, we are there to serve our clients. Yeah.
Moving on to Mark. So you are an expert in delivering to luxury residential clients, be it a small house to being a villa to maybe a whole 30-floor story building for a client who is owning that whole building, definitely. So let's talk about how did you venture into this field?
Personally, yeah. Well, what I really enjoy about residential projects, particularly private residential projects, is the interaction that I have with the owners. That direct interaction that is coming from them rather than a layered interaction, particularly when you deal with developers, and getting to know them intimately and helping them craft the house and build the house around them is something that I find quite exciting.
Okay. Still, what made you venture into the interiors or architectural career? Was it your education or
When I was in school, I took a subject which is design and technology, which the Americans might call a workshop, right? And I really enjoyed that working with my hands and building stuff. And originally, I wanted to do product design. At one point, I even wanted to do fashion design, but I felt that the extent of product and the extent of fashion is limited. And my question to myself is, if I want to do more, what can I do? So I thought, hey, maybe let's do interior design. And from there, you can progress to doing architecture. And what resonated with me for this is interior and architecture can shape the way that human beings behave and interact. I found that very powerful. For example, if there is a walkway and as a designer, I put a wall in front of that walkway, it forces you to go around the wall. Or let's say I don't even give you an opportunity to go around the wall. Would you end up? You end up going over the wall. By going over the wall, you might exert more energy. For example, maybe it might be a low wall, but you go over the wall. The architect can say that, oh, I've done it in a way that forces people to move more, exercise more, and have more steps in there, for example. So doing things in the physical environment can affect people, not only physically, but mentally, so on and so forth.
That was a very interesting input and learning that how powerful interior designing can be. If you can illustrate few more examples on
Okay,
this.
let me give you another example. There's a famous building, uh, the Jewish Museum, and so within the Jewish museum, there is, and it talks about the Holocaust, and there is a particular building in there where it is devoid of light. It is a tower. So when you enter that building, light comes in through the door, but as the door closes, you actually hear an eerie sound. It goes, doom, and it's pitch black. It's dark. It's trying to recreate that sensation where people, in a very sad moment when they were in the gas chambers, that sense of fear, that sense of loss, that sense of the end. You don't need to give a whole narrative. You don't need to tell a story. You don't need to explain to it, in a audio sense to the people that are visiting there. The moment they walk into this chamber and this happens to them, you've just conveyed the exact same feeling or close to that same feeling of people that were in that situation. That is so powerful. And that's just dealing with space, yeah? Dealing with light, dealing the lack of light, dealing with the whole airiness of the space, dealing with the sound and enclosure. That is very powerful where it can affect you emotionally. So we talk about physical just now. This is an emotional aspect, just in one space.
And I think our tagline is reshape emotions
Right.
In a positive way.
in a positive way.
In a positive way, yeah.
Mark, we were discussing the definition of luxury, how it is very subjective and everyone has a different definition of the same. I want to know your definition of luxury.
It's actually very simple. Being able to do things on your own terms. That is luxury.
For everything or anything in life.
Everything and anything in life. That is true luxury. To be able to do things in your own terms, live life on your own terms, buy things on your own terms, experience things on your own terms. That is actually true luxury. And a lot of people might think that luxury is about money. It is not about money.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Right? However, money does afford you opportunities and the freedom to live your life on your terms.
Money is a resource to maybe moving ahead in that goal, towards that goal. But definitely what you said is very powerful and has a lot of meaning in it. Moving on to what is, according to you, the definition of luxury for the people? You have experienced and catered to huge number of clients,
Right.
and you know how everyone differentiates between luxury. So you can give a beautiful answer to this, that what is luxury for people that you have experienced?
Wow. Uh, Luxury means different things to different people. Uh, if I were to ask you, right, just as a conversation, to ask Binu, what is luxury to you? So Binu, let's say I ask you, what is luxury to you? What would you say?
8 hours sleep.
8 hours sleep, a good sleep,
Yeah.
right? So that can, when you say 8 hours sleep, and we want to translate it from a real estate point of view, right? To have, or a design point of view, then to have a comfortable bed, to make sure that when you design uh, the windows and the window treatment, particularly if you're a person that travels a lot, different time zones and all that, when you want to sleep, to make sure that the curtain is done in a way that does not allow light to come in and it's pitch black, so that you can replicate nighttime, you can sleep peacefully. Right.
But don't you think that is a point to be taken care of, even if someone doesn't say that 8 hours of sleep is important for them, considering sleep is required by everyone? And I think so that is a point of that is a point where, even if someone says that they require 8 hours of sleep, but if they say that they don't want pitch darkness during their sleep, then the curtains won't matter that much.
Yeah. So as I said, luxury means different things to different people. And so if sleep is important, it's not that the bed is important. We pay a particular attention to that for luxury. And so this comes to the next point, right? What do you value? What do you value? Luxury is also what you value as luxury. I give you a simple another example. I had a client, okay, really wealthy client, and this client can afford most things in life, or almost anything in life. The client likes to buy expensive artwork, $1 million artworks, buys it from Christie's auction, so on and so forth. But when I propose a chair, a dining chair that costs about 1,000 to good quality chair, well made designer chair, for a dining table of 20, you do the math, right? It'll probably come up to about close to 30,000 just on dining chairs. They looked at me and says, that's really expensive, and does not want to pay the amount of money for a chair. Maybe they might pay $800, $700, but tomorrow they might go out and buy $1 million painting and put that painting in front of their bed. So every morning when they wake up, they see that beautiful $1 million painting that they have bought. Different values. Luxury, again, I say, is not necessarily money, but it affords you to live the way that you want to live. And if you like beautiful things that are expensive, and in the common person's view is luxurious, for example, multi-million-dollar painting, or saying having leather plastered on the walls, and you really enjoy that, and your sense of luxury is that, then yes, money can afford you those kinds of luxuries.
I think so. Definitely, I will agree to the point that the value that the person carries in terms of their own terms and definition plays a very big role in defining what luxury is for them. So, I want to do an exercise right now, and it'll be great if you can help me in doing that. So, what would be the typical activity brief you would take from a client for preparing their luxury house? If you can put out those questions to me, and I would want to answer them or find out on, it can help me define, according to your questions, the kind of place or the kind of thing that luxury would be for me.
How much time do you have to listen to these questions? It could go on for hours because we go into that detail.
I think so for a few minutes, definitely. That's not enough, but definitely it'll give an idea to the viewers that what all things matter when you are designing or making a luxury residence. And will give an idea to how much detail you go into, because in terms of people give a definition of luxury to anything and everything, but they don't go to the details as much as are required when people talk about luxury.
If we were to define in this particular case luxury, uh, or people that we design for luxury homes, let's acknowledge the fact that these families or individuals are wealthy, and therefore one would term that as a luxury property. Now, so someone that is wealthy, if I were to shape the question this way, someone who is wealthy, my question to them, because we already established that, hey, look, luxury means different things to different people, but people who are wealthy can live things on their own terms, right? We established that. And my question would really to understand their lifestyle, because how they're living life on their own terms. For example, what we normally do before we even have the discussion with the client, most of our clients that are wealthy are generally in some way or form in the media. And before we meet them, we like to do a little bit of research onto the clients and understand the clients. Understand not only what the client likes, but what is his view or her view on the world or things in general. For example, the client may be an advocate for sustainability and might run a foundation, protecting or have a wildlife reserve, for example. And that same client might love cars, or she, if it's a female client, might love jewelries. So then that also helps us when we meet them to start to discuss lifestyle and beliefs, because that will shape the house that we are doing for him or her. So for example, if I know that, say, Binu, you are into cars, and then my question would be, how many cars do you have? What kind of cars do you have? How do you drive your cars? In some cases, we'll ask that, how do you maintain your cars even?
Yes, how do you maintain your?
Maintain your cars. We go down to that level and ask, why? You would think that people who are wealthy, that have access to money, might send their cars out for detailing. But a true car lover would want to maintain his car himself. For example, Jay Leno. He maintains his car himself. He has mechanics, but he likes to work on the cars with the mechanics. Or sometimes you would love to wash your car because you appreciate the car. You might want to wash your car yourself. Doesn't mean you're wealthy, you get this all done by other people. So if you love to wash your car, then we have this beautiful washing bay for you, where you can put all your car detailing accessories, right? And after you wash your car, it could be placed in a way that you actually have a car gallery where you can see your car. That's that level of detail that we go to. Similarly, if we know that the client just now I mentioned might be into sustainability, then we say, at what level of sustainability are you looking at? Do you want a zero emission house? Do you want, after we build your house, to be in terms of carbon net zero? Then everything that we do in terms of designing, in terms of the energy program, in terms of efficiency, in terms of material, that to make sure that the carbon footprint for that building is very low, and to a large extent after that give back to the carbon footprint. So these are the questions that we ask. And if you want to talk about something that are less world changing, it might be dresses. How many, the number of, and this is very common, right? For the lady of the house, how many dresses do you have? How many shoes do you have? How do you keep your shoes, right? Some keep it because they got so many shoes. They don't display the shoes. It has to be in boxes. And on the box, on the front of the box, they actually have a picture of the shoe so they know where each shoe is when it is stacked up. Then we cater for all these things. So it goes down to that level of detail, huge level of detail. Wine, what wine do you drink, right? From which region? How do you buy your wines? How do you store your wines? Because a lot of the clients, they buy crates of wine of a particular vintage. And although they buy crates of a particular vintage, they do not necessarily store it in their home. It's stored professionally by the wine suppliers, and only when they want to drink the wine, then they get the crates brought over, 12 bottles, 6 bottles, depending what's the quantity in the crate, and then only then it goes into their wine cellar. So it really depends.
So what I can summarize through all of this is that you go into the how, why, when of each and everything they do in their life in their own space. Like how do they sit, when do they sit, why do they sit, or maybe how do they exercise, what all exercises they do. So it's going into the how, when, and why of everything that person does in that space that you are creating.
Right. So for exercise, different people have different needs. We ask whether you have a personal trainer, whether the man of the house, does he do weights? Does he do this? Does he do that? The lady of the house, what do they do? Most of them tend to do yoga. Then we create different spaces for each member of the family, right?
That's interesting.
And the interesting and the complicating part is that, each set of questions you need to ask whoever is living in that apartment, right? Because there is only not one occupant. There will be multiple occupants, and it's finding that balance and addressing the needs of every person that stays in that house needs to be considered.
I think so. It must be a difficult job of like if there are 5 family members, definitely everyone has a different want, need, requirement. Like someone would want to sit on a couch in a certain way. Other person would want to, all 5 of them would prefer in a 5 different ways. And to balance that and find that sweet spot must be a difficult job to crack.
I won't say it's difficult. It is time consuming.
Interesting.
And the
Not
truth,
difficult, but interesting
yeah,
job.
and the truth be told, because of that, our fee is reflective also of the service that we provide. It has to, because we go down to that level of detail. If we are more generic in nature, you won't be able to achieve that whole idea that you talked about, luxury, right? Where we are making something so bespoke for the individual or for the individual family. And that requires time. I give you another example. I recently met a potential client. Family is tall, right? And I asked the question in the car when I was sitting with them, is everyone in your family tall? Because I only met 2 members of the family. They said no. Why I asked this question, and it's just a passing question. I'm taking notes, yeah, at every interaction that I have with them. Because when we design the bathroom for that individual family, it is not a standard height anymore for the vanity counter. It does not apply to that one person in the family. It goes up higher, right? If the person is shorter, we make sure that the vanity mirror is at a height that you can see yourself, and so on and so forth. Now, then the question is, does anyone in the family cook? If, let's say, a person in the family cooks, and in India, if you have a family member that cooks, there are 2 separate sets of kitchen, right? You got a clean kitchen, you got a dirty kitchen. In most cases, they'll cook in the nicer kitchen. Is that kitchen height, counter height, the right height for that person? So we go down to that level of detail. That is what differentiates us from other consultancies that provide design for luxury homes.
And that detail is probably, translated to items like where your switch plate is, or what height the bed is, where the bed light is, and all those things will be impacted by, right?
Everything. The more information I tell my clients, the more information you give me, the better. And I'll just take notes. I'll just keep taking notes. Yeah.
This is an interesting thing to do. Like, I would also love to analyze and find the right things. Like, it's an interesting work.
I think by the time Mark finishes a project, I think he knows more about the client than the client himself.
No, I know more about the client collectively as a family
Right,
than
right.
yeah.
You have to think about each and every family member and find the balance. So, like, since it's a very exhaustive procedure, even before the planning gets started, what are the usual timelines for the project? Like, how much time do you need to spend with the client? How much time do you take to plan the thing for the client?
Well, it really depends, right? A lot depends on the clients themselves, how much access we have to the client, uh,
Scale of
the scale of the project as well. And maybe I start off with explaining about the client. There are some clients that want to dictate every single thing in the house. And I had one client that told me, when I kept asking questions, do you want this? Do you want, all these things? And he says, Mark, I just want to move into the house with my toothbrush and my clothes. That's it. I leave the rest up to you. So there are two extremes. There are way two extremes. So on one hand, it's a lot faster with the client that says, and I mean, obviously that it's not literally he just want to move in, but that sets the tone of the level of involvement that he wants to be in. I'm not saying that he doesn't get involved in other decisions, but it sets the tone. And so with that client, it's a lot faster. With other clients that want to go into the individual detail, it becomes a bit long drawn out. But the clientele that we generally work with, it's not their only home.
Right, right.
So unlike the most of us, if we sell one place to move into another place, there is a fixed timeline that I need to move in by this time, right? If not, I've got no shelter over my head. A lot of times these clients, they have multiple homes.
These are wealthy people, so definitely it's their second homes or multiple.
Yeah.
And that is eventually your first question, right? What is luxury? That time that they have is the luxury they have.
Oh, yes. Time, I believe, is the greatest luxury in life because time is the only finite thing that there is.
If you want to share certain learnings, since you have dealt with huge number of wealthy people, so if you want to share some things about, like how you mentioned about time, if you want to elaborate on more that topic in itself, or maybe some other things that you would have picked up or is valuable to someone.
So one way to see it, when we talk about, when Binu was talking about multiple homes and all, uh, and earlier I mentioned about living on your own basis, right? On your own terms, in terms of time. So a lot of these clients, for example, they might buy a holiday home by the beach and they want to get away uh, from work and everything around them and just spend time with their family. And that's why they're building this home by the beach or by the seaside or by the mountains, whatever it may be. They are living life and they're controlling time on their own terms. And that is what it money affords, and that is what people define as luxury. Right? They can have multiple homes and live how you want to live and control your time that you spend on earth in a particular way, a particular manner. It's just like clients that enjoys cars, if they have the means, buy the latest car now, because by the time I get old and pass on, I won't be able to enjoy these cars anymore. So I'm enjoying these cars based on my time, and we design the space based on those things that they enjoy.
And I feel that, the time is time regardless of the level of wealth a person has, right? I think time is invaluable to everyone, regardless of how wealthy you are or not. That is probably the only constant that doesn't have any differences. It is same for everyone.
Fair enough. 100% agree. How has your experience been working in India?
He
In-
loves it. He loves it. He's here every other month,
Every
2
other
times a
month.
month.
In India, I enjoy India. India has a lot of opportunity. India is a very big country, vast country, economic powerhouse, and because of that, in our particular line of work, not only within the larger HBA group in terms of the other verticals which have work here in India, but for our particular studio, HBA Residential, there are a lot of wealthy people here. And wealthy, I would say wealthy, affluent, and well educated, sophisticated. So the level of design that we can have in India is high. The level of craft that is available in India is also high. The only challenging thing about India is from a construction standpoint, the skill levels vary a great deal. And getting things executed to a very high degree with consistency, truth be told, is challenging. So that's my experience working in India.
So there's a good market for clients, and the problem somewhere lies in the execution of the project at times.
Yeah.
At times, it's very selective. I think it falls down to the contractor and
Falls down to the
and
contract.
monitoring it.
Is there any particular city, place in India that usually has this problem, or it's
No, it's everywhere.
everywhere?
And I give you a simple another example. We've been doing work in India for quite some time. There was one project that I was doing a while back, a few decades back, maybe a decade plus back. And I was asking the client, hey, I heard that some of these furniture pieces arrived, and these were European luxury pieces of furniture, right? And I asked, so where is it? It's not on site right now. It says it's in a storeroom, storage. I says it's a storage far. Actually, I would like to go and see it. Oh no, it's very near. It's just on site, but it's in another location. So I said, can I go and see it? I wanted to go and physically see it. This is, oh, it's okay. We'll bring it to you. It says, okay, bring it. I waited there for half an hour. They brought it to me. It arrived on the back of a bullock cart. I am not kidding you. Okay? They protected it with like some rags and rugs and all that. I was shocked. This piece of furniture was 30,000. Not rupees. USD. US. It came in the back of a bullock cart. I was like, I hope they don't scratch it. Now, you see, that is the mentality, right? I asked a general worker, go and take something. He doesn't appreciate that this is expensive piece of furniture. His boss has just told him, take this furniture here. There is no truck, there's no proper equipment around. So he uses his initiative because the boss has asked him. He doesn't appreciate the value of this. It comes in a bullock cart. Did he achieve the purpose? Yes. Did I see it? Yes. Did I get a shock? That's most definitely yes. Luckily, it wasn't damaged. But this is just one example, right? You will never see this happen in Europe.
Definitely, you correctly identified and said there is a mindset problem.
I think mindset, and I think the what do you call it, the education problem, and the labor skill set is not there, right? It's not. It's a big country with so many different manufacturers and companies vying for the same thing. So I think it's again, I would say it is education problem, right? They are not trained to do that. I think trained to do that, having that mindset is a totally different thing, and you can't compare a country of this size with this labor force against someone in a much developed country, right?
Correct.
Like in the case that Mark said, there was a training problem and education problem where he wasn't trained or he wasn't given that space to, or maybe that capability to understand that how much expensive that worth is to be treated, that it should not be treated with the way he treated it. But overall, on a larger scale, in that case, definitely we can say that it was a training problem. But like still, India on a huge scale, since like if we talk about like families having good money, being wealthy, there is no problem in such areas. But still, like majority, 75, I'm not aware of the stat, but definitely like majority, huge majority of the population does have a mindset problem because they would do these things to save money wherever they would want to.
Having said that, I have to give credit where credit is due. I've done projects also in Mumbai. I've worked with a very good uh, contractor based out of Mumbai that has also done work for the Abanis. I have to say, I've never in my life seen such good stone workmanship in any country. We've done work in Europe, we've done work in Asia. I have never seen marble work done so well. Really, hands down. I was blown away. Blown away.
So there are people like that. I think it's about being exposed to them and knowing them and proposing and bringing them on team for the projects at a scale what we operate at, right? Because whatever we design is a reflection of us, and we don't want to have any compromise on the quality of our design. So and that's where we come in HBA Residential or HBA Group as a
I feel you're
whole.
having a procurement arm as well, so that plays a huge role in keeping up to the service that you want to give, and that is quite a missing arm in majority of the big firms today as well.
Yes, you are right. You are absolutely right.
And I think the procurement works for us because the procurement is not an afterthought. Procurement is part of the design process, right from concept to schematic, right? So they are involved early. So there is understanding of what the project budget is, so that we can keep track of what the designer is designing right from the beginning. So, and at the same time, with their extensive knowledge and connections with these major manufacturers with good quality, we can bring really good value to the project.
100%. 100%. Since like you all have been visited in India, are having a good idea also how things are in India. Let's go and discuss specifically about Mumbai. Mumbai is not having an abundance of land. And how would you speak about luxury in terms of space? Since Mumbai is a fully populated traffic jams, or you talk about this home sizes of the majority of the population of Bombay, it's very small. So how would you define or try to find a definition of luxury in a city like Mumbai?
Maybe I would use Singapore as an example because Singapore is also land scarce. We are in a tiny island, right? There's also a limit to what we can build. At least in Mumbai, our growth it can start to expand out, right? The city limits can still start to expand out to a large extent, okay? I mean, obviously, you can't extend into the sea. Well, you can, you have. right? With the Sea Link road, right? You have essentially extended out to the sea, but there are limits, right? And so Singapore, with water all around, we've got limits. What we have started to do in any country or any city that has land scarcity, you start to build higher and higher.
Yes.
And that's what's happening. Now, when you start to build higher and higher and you start to take whatever residual land that is left, it comes at the cost of nature. And that's what's happening in Mumbai. That's what's happening in Singapore. But where we have brought that back, and you talk about luxury, right? How you want to live your lifestyle and where you want to be associated with, we have started to bring greenery back into high-rise buildings. So Singapore has been very successful in bringing greenery into high-rise buildings, and there are a lot of foreign consultants in Mumbai, and there are a good number of Singapore consultants, and I know this for a fact, in Mumbai, and we are exporting this idea back into the city and how we actually can start to greenify these buildings to give back to what we've taken away. And the luxury is also about having experienced the flora and fauna in a city which is lost. If you create a garden, for myself, I live in an apartment, and I live in a duplex apartment. I have a balcony that is a duplex. It's a two-story balcony, right? Double volume balcony, and in there was one day I went with my daughter to the nursery to buy some plants, and she liked these flowering plants. And I went like, flowering plants, very difficult to keep. But she wanted it. I said, okay, we'll buy a few pots. We'll put it in the yard, right? And what started to happen? Butterflies started to come. Birds started to come into the yard. Where it is an urban jungle, suddenly you get to appreciate
Nature.
There's life, there's nature. That is also part of the idea of luxury, right? Having all these experiences, having to sit at your living room and see these beautiful butterflies in your garden and all that. To me, that's luxury, right? So that, coming back to the point of Mumbai, I think that's taking shape here as well, and can take shape here as well.
And I think in terms of, the residential projects, we are looking at different level of, housing in Mumbai, right? Particularly, I think there are different level of luxury apartments, right? And I know you are redeveloping quite a lot of housing societies and everything. I'm sure that, you want to make the place or give a place much better than it was, right? And that's probably providing with more facilities that they can share, and they can share as a community. I think that's always the beautiful thing about Mumbai, is about there is a very good community spirit, right? There is that strong community spirit, I think, and I think these spaces, the amenities that can be shared is something that can add value to these housing societies, right? That could be luxury, because luxury is not, to me, luxury is not about, going to a fancy restaurant or going for an opera or something. I think for me, luxury is spending quality time with my family, with my friends. It could be anywhere, over a glass of water, right? But that time for me is luxury, right? The happiness, the conversation, the learning is luxury for me. So it's creating that environment, the backdrop where you can facilitate this, right? I think, and also you need to consider the demographics, right, within the Mumbai. I'm not very sure about the statistics. I think you need to also look about the demographics of the residents, right? What population of it is senior living, right? So I think when you are redeveloping the city, you need to take into consideration what is the current senior living level, so that the amenities are catered towards that, and also that when is the next generation of senior level going to come up, right? Because it will take time for these redevelopments to happen. So I think we need to be very, what do you call it?
Mindful.
Mindful is a word about all these things that are happening. Yes, it is changing, and I think I'm so happy to see that we are involved with redevelopment of few of the housing societies. And it's very interesting because I see myself, because I come to Bombay quite a lot, and I can foresee myself coming in maybe 5 year 10 years down the road and seeing a totally different skyline in Bombay, right? It's all gonna be modern building, it's all gonna be high rise building, residential building, and at the same time we hope that the infrastructure catches up with them, because that is a constraint that we have, right? And to make that seamless city experience, I think your infrastructure is equally important to make these spaces valuable and more interesting and appealing.
100%. 100%. I feel the city is moving in that direction. It's the speedy support from the government that needs to be continued and to be much more faster paced to support the inflow of the population continuously in the city and the limitation of the land. It's only the infrastructure that can keep the support and continued growth of Mumbai in terms of making it more high rises or the kind of development space that is going on right now. And totally agreeing to the point of keeping in the mind the age criteria for the amenities planning and everything. But normally, just to input or a feedback on that particular top, since like these all layouts which are going to be made in Mumbai, it caters to thousands of people and is a home to, like, even if it's a home to 300 400 families, easily 1,000 members are living in that particular layout. So by default, amenities have to be planned for every age group, because there is going to be an age group for grandfathers, grandmothers, parents, children, and everyone. So definitely that point of addressing each particular age group and planning accordingly to everyone is very important.
So that's actually something very interesting. I did a project many years back. It's a residential project, a condominium. And we actually studied this, where we didn't want to be wasteful with the amenities. And we studied what people did at different times of the day based on their age group. What time do the kids come back from school? What do they do when they come back from school? They play games. They play, in the context of India, cricket. In the context of where that project that I was doing it will be football. Kids leave school early in the morning. For the elderly folks, what do they do early in the morning? They wake up, they go for walks before the sun comes out. So you can cater space within the condominium or within the residential development. And why I say within the residential development is because you don't want them to be playing football in the streets or outside the development. You want it to be in a controlled way. So the space usage within the development, particularly on the ground floor, is designed to be multifunctional based on the different times of the day. And how we also plan it is also where the buildings are, to create shade for these plazas or these activity spaces for different times of the day when it's being used. So yes, we're talking about catering. That's an interesting thing. When we cater, we can cater for all these various age groups, but it doesn't mean that we need to have a lot of space or duplicate or dedicated spaces for them.
100%, 100%. That's a very smart use and play of the space. And in a city like Mumbai, where space is always a constraint, a very smart planning is always helpful and useful.
A lot of paddle courts are coming, I heard.
Yes.
Yes, yes, it's an upcoming trend since a year or two in India. Definitely, it's a good sport.
Global. It's not only India. Yeah, I've got clients all over the world starting to talk to me about pedal court.
And we're not talking about normal paddle courts. We are talking about 5-star luxury paddle
Definitely,
courts.
it's HBA.
Yes, exactly. Just a touch of bling, I think.
Yeah.
Anything else you would want to touch base? I think so. I'm good. And
No, I think, I mean, we would love to hear from you because, you are a prominent real estate developer in Mumbai. Where do you see uh, Mumbai heading, and what do you think we can contribute as a global design consultancy, assisting not just you, I think the wider developer community, the wider client community, how we can contribute?
post COVID, the spending capacity of every being everywhere has increased. And definitely in the tier 1 cities, it has increased to a much more extent compared to other cities. So, Mumbai being in tier 1, spending capacity has increased. So, if we talk about pre COVID, the luxury want or spending of people was less. And today it's increasingly increasing at a much faster pace compared to before. And talking about like particularly for firms like HBA, where your main value addition, I believe, comes to designing very premium spaces and locations where you involve yourself, and that has also increased a lot. Definitely, there are going to be very few or selected. I feel few years ago, not everyone was planning to make a penthouse in every building.
Yeah.
But nowadays, every developer, be it a large scale developer, medium sized or small sized, even if it's like a 15 floor story, the developer thinks about making the top floor or last 2 floors penthouse or something. Earlier, it was like a high rise only development where they would think of making a penthouse, and small size developer would think like in such a building, I wouldn't get a customer for a penthouse. So even in every particular capability uh, buyer, even if it's like, for example, hypothetically speaking, 10 lakh house, 1 crore house, 10 crore house. Now even the 10 lakh home purchaser would want to have a penthouse.
Yeah, there is a buyer for it. There is aspiration, there is demand for those.
So overall, be it any person in any spending capacity is wanting to have the best for them, uh, and the options for them have also increased. And same goes for you, me, and everyone, I believe. So moving on forwards, it's always like definitely for few coming years, 5 to 10 years, what I feel is that it's going to be an upwards, onwards journey only. And for every other being that is a part in Mumbai, India,
That's great news for everyone.
that means more business incoming.
Mumbai is definitely a very exciting city. Very, very, very vibrant. You're right. The challenge is the infrastructure. As you build higher and higher, the density goes higher and higher. Your the the infrastructure is strained, and infrastructure cannot change overnight.
It takes years.
It takes time. It takes years. You can't build more roads. Well, you can. It just becomes very difficult within the city itself, and that's why you got the Sea Link and all the coastal road. And road is one thing. Other infrastructure needs to also take place, and uh, urban amenities as well. What will be very interesting to see as a master plan, as developments, whether developers will start not just looking at the their property assets, but looking at other, uh, apart from residential assets, assets that can support the city and the city needs as a new typology of building. I don't know what that is, but it's, since we were just generally talking about it, it's an interesting thing to start to think about, because you touched on that point, right? You touched on that point. So there might be another business opportunity, another asset class to cater for this high density living, yeah, as a supporting asset to it.
I agree with you.
We just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, Binu and Mark, definitely a great conversation. Like, since it was a quick, planned podcast as well, and comparatively, the preparation, in terms of the preparation, I really enjoyed the conversation. Like, just not from a business perspective, or not even just from any particular topic of conversation to just interiors or real estate or anything. It was an overall a very healthy conversation where I am taking a few good things back from your hard thought lines, from uh, how time is more important, and like luxury is living on your own terms. Like all those small pointers and things that you put it out adds some value to my life, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you so much for
Thank you so much, Krish.
thank you so much for sharing your experience and journey till now.
Thank you for having us here.
Definitely. Looking forward to working together.
Thank you.